How to avoid being scammed when buying or selling hot toys. Is it possible? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles. I am back with another video, and today I want to talk about how to avoid being scammed when buying or selling hot toys. But before we get started, please consider dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel if this is in fact your first time. And as always, drop a comment below and share your experiences, tips, or tricks for the next person watching in hopes that they can avoid being scammed. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because I posted one previously, how to buy used hot toys. Now, I posted a video a few weeks back on my channel buying used hot toys and some tips and tricks. I got some great feedback and engagement on that. I wanted to dive a little deeper in terms of the scamming aspect of that. So I'm going to be breaking down some aspects from the buying and the selling standpoint in hopes that you can avoid being scammed. So the first portion of this is going to be the buying side of it. There's obviously you can get scammed on both sides. It's not only just always buying, but it can be selling as well. But when it comes to buying, these are just a couple things to just keep in mind and reinforce. And these can really apply to anywhere, whether it's eBay, Facebook, Mark Carey. eBay is probably the most secure because of their connection with PayPal. Still, though, it could happen anywhere. But the first thing is if you see a lack of photos from a listing, always request more. And also, not just that, request 360-degree photos of the figure as well. A lot of times with listings on eBay or wherever it may be, it could be Facebook, buy, sell, trade groups. You see only pretty much one or two photos of the figure. It could be the box, the shipper to show that's there, and then the figure sitting in a clamshell. Sometimes they'll even post the stock Hot Toys photo instead. So if there's like no photos, definitely ask for more. And if you definitely have a deal that's definitely going to be in place, request 360-degree photos of the figure. As I said, because there could be an issue with something that's going to lead into the next point, is research the problems of the figure and request more info on those areas. So if there's a figure that has issues with pleathering, flaking on the boots, and you see a photo of it just sitting in the clamshell from the front side, definitely get more photos of that because that could have some flaking on the back side. Or if there's something wrong with the belt, definitely get some more photos of that if you don't see anything, or if it's not called out in the description. And that's one thing also to remind with eBay is that if you're buying from eBay, check the listing details. Not all the times they're going to say, oh, they might copy and paste the stock information. So when you're listing something on eBay, and if you're putting in, a Hot Toys MMS, sometimes eBay can auto populate a lot of that description text for you to save on time if it's a figure that's already been listed. So if you're selling something that's been listed on eBay numerous times, they can auto populate a lot of that information for you to cut down on the actual listing creation. So you have to be careful and read the description of the listing to make sure if missing accessories or anything like that. If a lot of that information seems very cookie cutter and stock, reach out to the seller on eBay and basically ask them like, hey, is there any further issue? Can you send me some photos of this? Or like I said, if there's a figure that has an issue, hey, can you send me some photos of X, Y, and Z? Because I know that's a known issue of the figure. Lets the buyer know that you know what you're talking about and probably avoids any type of scamming or anything for that matter. Another one is, and this can relate to anything, but if the seller is rushing the sale, think twice. Realistically, there's no time frame on a deal, but like if a seller tells you, hey, listen, I'm talking to 3 other people right now, what do you want to do? Here's the price. And if they're not cooperating with you, like if you're saying, hey, listen, I just need a couple more photos. Hey, listen, I don't have the time to take the photos because, I'm out, it's up for sale. What do you want to do? I got 2 other people, I'm holding it for you. Like, if you hear a story like they're trying to rush and they're not willing to give you the information, then there's something going on, and think twice about it. I've sold very few Hot Toys like 2 years ago, and I try to put up enough photos, but like you said, someone's always going to ask you for something that you didn't think about taking a photo of. And I will say, hey, listen, give me a little bit of time. Give me like an hour. I'm not out. I'm out shopping. I'm not home. I'll run and get a photo and send it back to you. Sometimes I'll even send videos. Like if it's, if I'm selling on Facebook or buy and sell trade, I'll take a video and then send it through Facebook Messenger. But like I said, if they're rushing a sale and they're not willing to cooperate with you on your requests, then you should think twice about the transaction. This one is going to be a little tricky because it does depend on the buyer, what they're willing to do. But just because the figure is new, it can still have issues. So, like, if you have those older MMS figures, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope, right? I think that's like an MMS 260, 280. It's an older figure. People are selling them mint sealed in the box. That's great that it's mint sealed in the box, but that doesn't mean that the boots haven't flaked, the belt hasn't flaked. Those are known issues on that figure. So, I mean, if you do buy something, this is going to be, it's hard advice to offer because sometimes the buyers just won't do it. And it depends on people's perception. Like if there's something mint brand new, some people consider once that tape is broken and it's open for inspection, they don't consider it new. Other people don't mind it. But if you do run across the person that has no problem opening it up and checking it for inspection to ensure that everything's okay, that's awesome. That's going to be up to the discretion of the person selling it and the camaraderie that you have with that person. But that is something to be aware of. And I did touch on this in my previous video, but it is worth noting once again that just because it's new, it can still have issues. And once again, it goes back to the previous point, is do your research on the figure that you're buying. Like I said, if you know those issues are bad, you got to call those things out. And at least it gives credibility to you that, that probably will reduce you being scammed because they can see that you know what you're talking about. So they may tread more lightly with you than somebody else that's just saying, hey, I'm willing to buy the figure. All right, see you later. So those are some things I put together when buying, how to avoid actually being scammed. Now we're going to talk about the selling side of it, which in my opinion, I think there's a little bit of a higher rate of being scammed as a seller than there is a buyer. That's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But now we're going to jump into the selling side of it and how to avoid being scammed. All right, so now we're going to talk about the selling aspects, and the first one is obviously it's going to kind of cross over between the the buying side, but you definitely want to take photos prior to sending the figure out, including the accessories in the box. So obviously you have the photos that you put up with the figure on your listing, whether it's eBay, Facebook, wherever. But let's say our deal's concluded, they paid, now it's time for you to own up and ship the figure. Take photos of the process, what it looked like, and that's what I did. Photo of the figure out, photo of the figure in the clam tray as is with the accessories. Document the accessories that are in the box. What did you ship accessory wise? Figure in the box, in the art box, photograph the art box in the shipper. I know it sounds mundane, but I think when I sold, I took like almost like 70 or 80 photos per. I didn't sell that many, so it didn't matter. It wasn't like a business for me, but I took probably north of like 60 or 70 photos. The art box, the brown shipper, it being the tape, make sure the tape's sealed, shipping it off, all that stuff. You want to make sure you're covered, just because of a variety of things can happen. Obviously, when the buyer gets it, they can complain, they can claim the accessories weren't in the box, or they can swap out accessories and take a picture of something else in there and say, hey, I got this, not that. You have to make sure that's all covered. Sometimes people don't think about that. Like maybe a blaster rifle to a stormtrooper, someone could take it out of the box, take a picture and put in a claim saying, hey, I never got the blaster, I want a $50 deduction. Or they could swap a different blaster in there and say, hey, this isn't the one that came with this figure, I want a credit or something like that. So you got to be mindful of that. And sometimes the little things can be overlooked and people are going to want money for that. They're not going to accept probably a $5, send. They want like 20, 30, $40 for something like that. So you have to be mindful, take photos prior to sending and including, every aspect of the process. And if you can do video, take video as well. It never hurts. The next one is showing proof of shipment via receipts. When you go to drop it off, obviously the receipt, most of the time, if you are going through PayPal, they require you to upload that information. So it's really good. But the receipts show the date, the time, and also the weight of the package. So it just helps you in case there is a claim filed against you because you shipped them the wrong thing, supposedly. The receipt is just another element that has more information that can hopefully back you up, such as like the weight of the product, the weight of the package. So you can show like what this was that you shipped out, and also like the time and date to show that you met it within your honored time frame that you were going to ship the package out. So obviously make sure you have that. This is probably more pertinent to like Facebook Marketplace if you're doing a transaction like that. Sometimes, and it's happened before, people just email you a tracking number and that's all you have to go by. So make sure you have photos of it from a buying and a selling perspective. Make sure you have the receipts. And if you're buying a figure, I would ask for a picture of the receipt versus just the tracking number. That's just me personally. So the next one is stick to your method of shipping. If you have it as delivery only on eBay or on Facebook and someone says, hey, I want to do local pickup instead, I want to save on shipping, I wouldn't do it personally. Stick to the method that you want. Realistically, shipping these things, depending on if it's a regular figure, it's not going to be an astronomical amount of money. But people, you never know. You got to be in that mindset of a local pickup versus delivery. I've done Facebook meetups before. They're not always awkward, but you don't know. You're meeting a random person, and it's okay. No one wants to do that. So don't feel pressured because someone maybe live 5 miles away from you and say, "Hey, I want to save 15 bucks on shipping. Can we just meet up instead?" What's your comfortability level? If you want to only deliver the figure and people are reaching out and say, "Hey, I want local pickup instead," obliged, nice, thanks, I appreciate it, but I'm sticking to delivery just because that's what I feel comfortable with. So don't be pressured to do anything other than that. Stick to what your shipping method is intended. Now, if you are dealing face to face, there's a couple things to think about as well. Bring cash with you. Do not use any type of apps or anything like that. Have cash on hand, but do not exchange cash before seeing the figure. If the buyer is good, they'll let you open the figure, inspect it. I've bought Hot Toys before in a parking lot from Facebook, and I was allowed to open up the figure, inspect it, check out stuff, make sure how the articulation was, making sure I was content with everything prior to money exchanging hands. But do not use any other apps or anything like that. Cash only. And if you have to bring someone with you, bring someone with you. And if you're going to meet up, these are like typical Facebook market rules. But like if you're going to meet up, make sure it's in an open area during the day. That you're comfortable. It could be a parking lot of someplace where there's people. It's a medium to high trafficked area, so there's no shady business or anything like that. The typical stuff. But it's a good reinforcement to have, nevertheless, if you're going to have a face to face meeting. Now, if you're selling a figure, one thing to bear in mind is it might be a little sketchy if someone's willing to pay more than you're asking. If you do like friends and family, as in my previous video, you're not protected by PayPal versus goods and services. But if you have a figure that's advertised for 500 and someone says, "Hey, I'm willing to pay 600," friends and family, or Cash App, "Hey, I'll send you the money right now. What's going on?" Going back into that, rushing you kind of thing. So you're thinking in your head, "Whoa, someone's going to give me $600, friends and family. I don't got to pay fees," or Cash App. Let's go. There can be some that goes back to, like, if it doesn't seem right, think twice about it. So don't fall for the whole rushing mentality. But then also, like I said, if someone's willing to pay more than what you're asking by using an alternate form of payment, 9 times out of 10 there's something sketchy about it. Not all the cases, but the percentage of it being sketchy is higher than most. So that's something to definitely consider when people reach out to you with forms of payment that are different and they're willing to pay more money. Now, the final one is one that, it's hard to, you got to kind of separate, but it's happened before. If someone is trying to buy a figure off of you and you're negotiating price and you start getting an emotional story, that's usually a telltale sign that they're trying to tap into something, your emotional side. They might tell you a story that, they want this figure, but they can't afford it because something happened. But they really, a parent saying, "Hey, I want to get this for my kid. They're a huge Iron Man fan, but unfortunately, it's their birthday and we don't have that much money. And so I can only offer you this. Is that okay?" I'm not trying to sound insensitive to anybody's situation, of course, but once again, people know, if they're professionals and they know how to scam people, they know they know the bullet points they hit to target someone's emotions, basically. And so that's a scenario that I made up in my head, but that sounds like a pretty good one. A parent who doesn't have money for our kid's Christmas present or birthday, and so they're trying to get for a cheaper price. You have to make the determination of kind of sifting through the BS, so to speak, and not get screwed yourself. Because, like I said, that emotional story, it might sound really appealing and it might sound true. Just remember, there's people out there that literally do this for a profession, scamming people. So they know how to work your emotions to get the best deal for them. So just bear in mind, when you start getting an emotional story like that, you just have to have the wherewithal to kind of sift through all that stuff and really disconnect yourself to not try to fall for that emotional trap and really, kind of sift through the BS, I would say. So there you have it. Those are some additional tips that I hope are helpful. I really just tried to narrow the list down to very important ones. Some are going to probably be redundant that you're saying to myself, "Oh, Mr. Mom, I've heard that before." That's okay. Just because you have doesn't mean the next person hasn't. But like I said, drop a like on this video. please consider subscribing to the channel if this is in fact your first time and you enjoy this type of content. I'll definitely be making more of these videos going forward to try to help those out there that maybe not think about something that can, set something off for you. But most importantly, drop a comment below if you've been if you've been scammed or attempted to, or something like this triggers. Definitely drop a comment and let me know your story, so that way we can use this information for the next person that maybe is watching this video and can read the comments, and hopefully there's some takeaways here so we can avoid more collectors in the community getting scammed from buying or selling. But until then, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles saying take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.